The peaceful quiet of Willow Creek was shattered in an instant. Neighbors froze as the sound of glass exploding and metal twisting tore through the morning air. On Ethan's driveway, a brand new car still shining from yesterday's wash war is being reduced to wreckage, and at the center of the storm stood Karen. Her bun was pulled tight, her lips curved into a self-satisfied smirk as she swung a heavy garden tool again and again. Each strike sent shards flying, tires deflating with sharp hisses, mirrors snapping under the weight of her rage. She didn't hesitate, didn't falter, she reveled in it. From his doorway, Ethan stood paralyzed. That car wasn't just a machine, it was his years of sacrifice, every late-night shift, and every dream of finally owning something that represented progress. And now, in a matter of moments, it was rubble at his feet. Around them, blinds shifted and whispers spread, but no one dared step forward. The neighborhood watched in silence, knowing Karen had finally crossed a line. Ethan's fists tightened, his heart pounding not in fear, but in the quiet fury of a man who had just lost something irreplaceable. And deep down he knew, she would regret this. Ethan had worked for years to afford that car. Every hour of overtime, every weekend sacrificed, every meal skipped it, had all been worth it the moment he turned the key in the ignition. The smooth hum of the engine felt like a song of triumph. It wasn't just transportation, it was proof that perseverance paid off. When he parked it in his driveway that first night, neighbors admired it, some even congratulating him. But Karen stood on her porch, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. She hated the way his happiness seemed to glow. She hated that someone could find joy without her permission. Ethan ignored her scowl, determined not to let her negativity dim his pride. He polished the car, admired the shine under the sun, and felt for once that life was moving in the right direction. But with every glance from Karen's porch, an unease crept closer. She wasn't just envious, she was plotting, in her eyes. Ethan wasn't a neighbor, he was a threat to her control, and control was something Karen guarded fiercely. While Ethan saw his car as a dream realized, Karen saw it as a weapon, and she had every intention of destroying it. Karen wasn't new to this game. For years, she had controlled Willow Creek with an iron grip hidden behind HOA, but to her, the neighborhood wasn't a community, it was her personal kingdom, and anyone who didn't bow to her rules became an enemy. Ethan had made that mistake. He didn't respond to her friendly reminders. He didn't move his trash cans to the approved position. He didn't cut his grass the exact length she demanded. Worst of all, he smiled in the face of her disapproval, brushing off her complaints like flies. For Karen, this wasn't just defiance, this was war. And when Ethan rolled in with his brand new car, gleaming in the sun, it felt like an insult carved directly into her pride. She convinced herself that he thought he was better than her, that his car was a statement against everything she stood for. Her obsession grew. She prowled past his house, muttering under her breath, scribbling notes in a pad she carried for violations. She began whispering to other neighbors, planting seeds of resentment. But no matter how hard she tried, no one joined her crusade. Ethan was well liked. That only made her more dangerous. The tension between Ethan and Karen simmered like a pot about to boil over. Ethan noticed how she slowed her walks past his driveway, how her eyes lingered on the car, filled with something darker than annoyance. He brushed it off at first, but deep down, he knew something was coming. Karen's complaints escalated. She accused Ethan of playing music too loud at night, even when his house was dark. She claimed his car dripped oil, though the pavement was spotless. She even filed reports about unauthorized decorations on his porch. But the HOA board, tired of her endless drama, began dismissing her claims. That dismissal only fanned the flames. Her power was slipping, and Ethan's calm resistance was the final insult. To Karen, it wasn't just about the car anymore, it was about proving she could break him. Meanwhile, Ethan's friends warned him. Get cameras, they said. Protect yourself. She's unpredictable. He nodded, quietly installing security systems without drawing attention. Still, part of him hoped she'd stop. Part of him hoped this storm would pass. But in Willow Creek, storms didn't fade. They exploded, and Karen was already preparing to unleash hers in the most destructive way possible. It was a Saturday morning, the kind Ethan longed for, coffee in hand, plans for a peaceful day ahead. But outside, storm clouds brewed in the form of Karen, pacing with fury bubbling in her chest. She had decided today was the day she would take back her control. Gripping a heavy garden tool, she marched straight into Ethan's driveway. With one violent swing, the windshield shattered. Another swing, and the hood crumpled. Tires deflated under her blade. Mirrors dangled from broken frames. Each blow was calculated, precise, fueled by years of bitterness. Neighbors gasped from behind curtains. Hands clapped over mouths. Children pulled away from windows. No one moved to stop her. No one dared. Karen had crossed from petty harassment into pure destruction. Ethan rushed outside, his coffee slipping from his hand, shattering on the porch. His heart stopped at the sight. His car, the dream he had built piece by piece with sacrifices, being destroyed in front of his eyes. He wanted to scream. He wanted to stop her. But his body froze, his mind struggling to process the violation. In that moment, Ethan realized Karen hadn't just destroyed his car, she had declared war on him. in front of everyone. The final strike echoed down the street before silence swallowed Willow Creek. Karen dropped the tool, her chest heaving, and cast one last satisfied glance at the wreckage before storming back to her porch. Not a single apology, not even hesitation, just smugness etched across her face. Ethan stood rooted, his jaw tight, his fists trembling. His car, once a symbol of perseverance, was now a heap of broken glass and twisted metal. The devastation wasn't just physical, it was personal. Every hour of overtime, every late night, every sacrifice had been destroyed in seconds. Neighbors remained behind blinds, peering through cracks. Some pitied Ethan, others whispered about Karen's downfall, but no one dared step outside. The air was heavy, charged with the tension of unspoken fear. Ethan slowly approached his car, his reflection fractured in the shattered glass. He placed his hand on the hood, the metal still vibrating from the blows. It wasn't just property damage, it was humiliation. A public act meant to break him. But instead of screaming or retaliating, Ethan's silence became louder than rage. He turned, walked inside his home, and in that moment, Karen didn't realize her greatest mistake wasn't the destruction itself. It was underestimating his patience. Inside his home, Ethan moved with chilling calm. He didn't shout, didn't pace. He simply sat down, opened his laptop, and pulled up the security footage he had installed weeks earlier. Every swing, every shard of glass, every second of Karen's rampage had been caught in perfect clarity. He replayed the video, his jaw tightening with each strike. This wasn't just proof, it was the weapon that would end Karen's reign. He exported the clips, photographed the damage, and documented every detail. Neighbors, still shaken, sent him their own statements. Eager to finally see someone stand up to her, Ethan stacked the evidence neatly, almost methodically. He wasn't going to argue in the street. He wasn't going to lower himself to Karen's chaos. Instead, he was going to let her own actions destroy her. Karen, meanwhile, sat smugly on her porch, sipping tea as if nothing had happened. She believed she'd won, that Ethan would sulk in silence like everyone else. But she didn't know the storm she had awakened. For the first time, Ethan felt the weight lift from his chest. He wasn't powerless anymore. He had proof. And soon, the entire neighborhood and the law would see exactly who Karen truly was. The monthly HOA meeting was always Karen's stage. She sat at the front, arms crossed, ready to scold neighbors for minor infractions. That night she expected business as usual, but when Ethan entered, a hush fell across the room. He carried a laptop under his arm, his face calm but unyielding. As discussions began, Ethan requested to speak. With a simple click, the projector lit up. Gasps filled the hall as Karen appeared on screen, caught in high definitions, winging her weapon, glass shattering around her, her face twisted with satisfaction. Whispers erupted. Some covered their mouths, others shook their heads in disbelief. Karen's face drained of color. For once, her words failed her. She stammered excuses, claims of protecting the neighborhood and teaching respect, but no one listened. The footage spoke louder than anything she could say. The HOA board, tired of years of her tyranny, turned their stares on her. Murmurs rose as neighbors, emboldened by Ethan's courage, began voicing their own stories of her harassment. Karen's empire, built on fear and manipulation, collapsed in minutes. Ethan didn't shout, didn't gloat. He simply watched as her authority crumbled, his silence more powerful than her years of noise. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted Willow Creek in shades of gold, Ethan returned home to find Karen standing at the edge of his driveway. Her posture was slouched, her eyes downcast, nothing like the woman who once carried herself with arrogance. Her voice cracked as she muttered an apology. It wasn't heartfelt, not really. It was hollow, weighed down by shame rather than sincerity. She couldn't meet his eyes. For years, she had demanded respect, fear, obedience, and now, all she could offer was a whisper of regret. Ethan listened in silence, his face unreadable. Then, without a word, he walked past her and into his home. His silence was heavier than any confrontation could have been. It told her everything: that she no longer mattered, that her reign was over, that she had become invisible. Karen stood frozen, humiliated by the indifference. She had wanted a fight, a clash, anything to remind her she still had power. But Ethan gave her nothing. That emptiness was the final blow, the one that broke her spirit more than courts or fines ever could. Months later, Ethan replaced his car. It gleamed brighter than the first, standing tall in the driveway like a symbol of endurance. Neighbors admired it not just for its shine but for what it represented: his resilience and the end of tyranny. The neighborhood thrived in Karen's absence. Block parties returned, laughter filled the streets, and friendships rekindled without fear of her watchful eyes. Willow Creek finally became the place people had dreamed of when they moved there. Karen, meanwhile, remained a ghost in her own home. Curtains drawn, lawn neglected, her voice absent from HOA meetings. She had destroyed a car, but in doing so, she destroyed her own life. The woman who once dictated every detail now lived in silence, trapped in the prison she built for herself. Ethan never gloated, never rubbed salt in her wounds. His victory was quieter, deeper. He didn't need revenge and flames. He had justice, peace, and community on his side. And so, Karen's story became a whispered warning. Power built on fear always crumbles. Ethan didn't just win back his peace, he reminded everyone that truth, patience, and quiet strength can break even the strongest tyrant.